Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So for this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to essentially just give you guys a rundown on what I have personally learned throughout my season in Season 7 of Grinding to Masters, right? I essentially, throughout the whole season, I think it was the whole season, and maybe even Season 6, I have been playing, League of Legends, playing ranked and having my series, as I'm sure most of you know, the Journey to Masters, which we finally ended up getting pretty much near the end of Season 7. And I thought, you know what? Maybe it'll be interesting for some people, or a lot of people, or whatever amount of people, if I make a video just talking about kind of what I've learned throughout this, I guess, journey, just the things that I've picked up, because I feel like I definitely have improved overall as a player. I still have a lot of room to improve, and I still have a lot of room to get better, of course, but I feel like I definitely have improved throughout the journey. And I have learned things. I've gotten coached. I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of higher players and challengers and things like that, and they've told me a lot of stuff, etc., etc. So I thought this video could be interesting. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and yeah, let's get this party started. So the first thing I want to talk about is getting in the mood. All right, what does this really mean? Now, this is something that I've learned, especially once I got to higher elo. So like around Diamond 2, Diamond 1, where the game started to become more difficult for me. I've learned that just playing on a whim is not always going to be a good thing, right? So usually, you do want to play a lot of games, you want to keep practicing and stuff like that. But I've noticed that, like, I usually would wait until I'm in the zone, until I'm like in the mood, if I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. Essentially, sometimes you're feeling, maybe too lazy, or too just sleepy, or tired, or you don't really feel like you want to try hard, if you will. Other times it's the opposite, and I usually wait for those times. I'll usually like watch TV, or I'll like sit, or like maybe I'll even drink like a pop or something for the sugar rush, to get to wake myself up and to get in the zone. I'll watch a stream that usually tryhards, and I'll watch it with the intent of like thinking about like exactly what's going on in the game. Like I'll think about what they're doing, I'll think about what they should do, what they can do, what they're doing, and why they did it, and like I'll pretend like I'm almost in the game, and that almost puts me and my mind in the mood, or in the mindset that I'm ready to like try hard, and I usually just feel it. I usually just feel it when I'm ready to play, and I'm ready to just, actually like play and like for real, without kind of half-assing it, if you will. So that's something that I've learned is really, really important, and I usually do that by, again, either watching streams, or just kind of chilling and just waiting and just constantly just thinking about League of Legends in the background of my mind. Number 2, related to the first point, being in the mood and the zone helps you play with at a higher mental APM, which is important if you are trying to climb. So shout out to Nice for this. He's another YouTuber and streamer. He made a video talking about essentially mental APM. There's APM stands for actions per minute, which usually refers to just how fast you move your fingers, right? TLDR. But he talked about mental APM, which is essentially what it sounds like. It's just how fast and how much information can you process, and this is really important to the first point, because if you are in the proper mood, you're able to actually essentially increase your mental APM, right? Which means that you have to be in the zone to think of several things at a time. So for instance, like your cooldowns, enemy cooldowns, where the jungler is, where they could be, where they'll gank next, where you should ward, when you should fight back, when you should retreat, when you should like do counter poke or harass in lane, when you can go for CS and when you cannot go for CS. This just overall decision making, outplaying them, just there's so much stuff to think about. The higher level that you want to get to, the more and more and more you'll have to think about at the same time throughout the game, right? If you're playing, let's say, in bronze, there's obviously less things you have to think about if you want to actually win the game compared to if you're playing, let's say, in challenger, right? And challenger, that's why you see a lot of challenger players not really talk too much when they play, like Pants, for instance, because they're very focused, because there's just a lot of information you want to process, right? That you want to just figure out and actually understand what to do. Which is important. So you should pretty much, if you do this correctly, and if you actually, are playing, let's say, at your maximum mental APM or whatever it is, you should feel, fairly mentally exhausted after a few games, because you're just tired. And that's why usually I feel tired after I play some League of Legends, because I usually play like 3-4 games max, unless, the last week, which I grinded like 10 games, 10 hours minimum a day. You should feel tired. You really should, right? Because that's just what it is. So mental APM, again, related to the first point, be in the zone, which will also in turn help you with your mental APM to just think of things, which you should be thinking of things if you want to keep climbing to a higher division. Next thing is limit your champion pool and your lane. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have been kind of giving me a hard time for this, and almost flaming me for this. With, for obvious reasons. I always, and I kind of still do, have this habit of switching champions very frequently. I get bored of champions very fast, and I always want to play something else. And I also have this mentality to where if a champion just completely destroys me in lane or in the game, I instantly assume that champion's OP, and I feel like I want to play that champion. I'm like, if this champion just destroyed me that hard, I'm like, okay, that champ's OP. I'm playing it. Done. That's what I usually think of, and I still kind of do. But I feel like I have definitely changed that mindset by quite a bit. So this comes in hand with like, if you play, unless you play rather 10 hours a day of League of Legends, like every single day, like a professional player, it's very, very hard to become proficient at a lot of champions, let alone several roles as well, right? So limit yourself to about, I would say, 3, maybe 4 champions in the role that you're playing. Like for me, for instance, I play mid lane. So instead of playing like a different champion almost every episode and having a new secret OP weapon every other episode, I limited myself to 3 champions. TF, Zed, Talon were the first 3. And then once Azir got reworked and it became meta, I switched out TF for Azir. And I pretty much, mainly stuck to those 3 champions, right? Obviously, I had a second role, which was ADC, which I mainly played Twitch. If Twitch was banned, I usually switched out to like Tristana or Xayah, right? That's essentially what I did. And ever since I did that, ever since I actually limited my champ pool, which everyone was telling me to do, I saw results. Like I felt myself climbing. Since I started playing more Zed and people told me just to keep playing Zed, I slowly became climbed. Like I really noticed the difference. So try to keep the playstyle as well with these champions that you choose to main, the 3 champions. Try to keep the playstyles between the 3 of them relatively similar. You don't want to be playing like a super safe like Xerath or Luxon that sits in the back poking, to then suddenly playing Zed, to then suddenly playing like a team fight oriented champion like Orianna, things like that. Just keep it to relatively the same kind of play style with the champions. So that's number 3. Number 4, higher elo games tend to be coin flips, or essentially as well, accept losses, move forward, right? So losses in League of Legends will happen all the time, unless you're a Smurf from Challenger playing through like silver, gold, whatever. You will lose games, you will win games, right? If you're someone that's, let's say you're peak elo, let's say you're platinum 1 player at best, right? But you're trying to get to that diamond, diamond 5, 4, 3, you will lose games, right? Like naturally you are going to lose games, but the only thing you can do is improve yourself to where you lose more or you win more than you lose, right? But you have to accept that some games will be a loss unless you're just flat out a better player than the current elo you're playing at, like period, which eventually you will be. It just takes time and practice. So accept that, but also understand that, especially as you get to higher elo, I've noticed, especially in higher elo, like let's say Diamond 1, especially during the last week, the games are super coin flip, very, very coin flip. And what I mean by that is you flip the coin and if it lands on heads and you bet on heads, boom, you win. If you bet on tails, you lose, because all it comes down to is who gets the better players on the team, who gets the Smurfs, the duos and stuff like that. Because especially in higher elo, like I said, you play with the same players frequently, right? You can be playing with the same people, you'll be seeing the same names very, very, very often compared to, like, let's say silver. So it just essentially just eventually comes down to who gets the better players. Number 5. Oh, actually, well, number 4 still. Try not to tilt and just accept some games are losses. That's the TLDR. Number 5. Prioritize objectives over kills and CS well. So sure, kills lead into objectives, but make sure you know when to chase for a kill and when to go for an objective, right? Because kills don't win you the game, objectives win you the game, and the only way to get to the nexus, which is the final objective, is by killing the rest of the towers or destroying them and out-rotating players, right? That's how like the games are in higher elo, like especially when you get the challenger, or if you get the challenger or whatever. It's much more macro focused than micro focused. You can win games with micro, like let's say around maybe silver, gold, pretty easily, but as you get to platinum and then diamond, it becomes more and more macro focused rather than micro. So it starts like this being micro and this being macro, and as you get higher elo, it just keeps going like this, and then macro becomes much more important than micro. And even though you can still win through macro is better, and macro essentially just means just moving around the map properly. So make sure you focus on that. And global gold from towers, and global gold that you get from getting towers and objectives and things like that is hidden gold. So it's very undervalued very easily in lower elo. CSing is also very important. Every 15 CS is about a kill, so it's keep that in mind. It's extremely important. CS just can easily win you a game just because you CS very well. You'll see like super high elo players like Viper, for instance. They have like 300 CS by 30 minutes, like almost every single game. And someone that is 2-6, 2 kills, 6 deaths with 200 CS can actually beat someone in a 1v1 duel that is 6 kills, 2 deaths, but only 100 CS, because they technically have more gold in them just through CS in itself. Number 6, play a lot of games. If you want to improve overall, play, right? Practice makes perfect. That's in whatever you do, whether it's League of Legends, sports, or even studying. Unless you're just a natural born genius, you have to study. You have to read the books, you have to read the material over and over and over and over, get it into your head. Similar to League of Legends, you have to keep playing, keep understanding what to do, because practice makes perfect. That's all it really comes down to. Play a lot of games. For me, for instance, I can get diamond, I feel like, fairly easily without having to play too many games, every single day. But if I want to climb higher to like higher diamond, master, especially challenger, I'll have to play more and more and more games per division I want to get to. So for instance, I need to play about 6 games at least and practice a lot if I want to get to like masters or even challenger, because like the higher the elo, you know, Challenger and Masters is higher than what I'm used to on average. So I need to get used to that division, and I need to keep playing and playing and playing. And the same thing applies to every division, right? If you're a silver player, you want to get to gold, you have to play more games. Just keep playing games, play more than you usually do, and you naturally will get better. You'll get more used to it. You'll have more muscle memory, and you'll just know what to do in more scenarios than other people, essentially, right? Especially if you keep playing the same champion. And the final thing I want to talk about is number 7. Don't grind your desired rank in the last week of a season. I learned this the hard way, but essentially, don't grind to your division. So, you know, for me, in this case, was Masters. In the last week, while playing only a few games the week before that. So I only play like a few games a week, up until the final grind I did in the last week of the finals, you know, of the season. And it was a mistake. I learned that the hard way, which is why I had to duo queue so many games with friends, because I just needed help. Because every game I would play was not only a coin flip, but there were so many smurfs, so many duo queues, and all that stuff that it was insane. There was a lot of win trading going on. Since again, you play against the same people frequently in, you know, like Diamond 1, for instance. Don't wait till the last season. Don't wait till the last second, rather, and just play. Just don't wait. Don't make the same mistake I did, because it was absolute hell. I had to play like 10 hours a day. It was horrible. It was torture, and I didn't have fun. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. There you have it. Just things that I've learned throughout my journey to Masters, and hopefully, you know, some of this will help you with your, you know, future climb in the next season, maybe doing preseason and stuff like that, and just improve you overall as a player. And yeah, let me know what you think about it down below, and thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace, peace.